Why women lose attraction when a man becomes too soft. There's a silent shift that happens in many relationships, subtle, almost invisible at first. A man who once stood tall with certainty, who led with quiet confidence and a grounded sense of direction, starts to soften. Not in the healthy, emotionally aware way, but in a way that slowly erodes his masculine core. He starts seeking constant validation, over-explaining himself, avoiding conflict, and molding himself to please her every mood. And somewhere along the way, she begins to lose attraction. Not because he's unkind, not because he's not available, but because he's lost the very energy that drew her in. This video isn't about blaming softness or vulnerability. It's about understanding what happens when a man loses his center and how that shift quietly impacts attraction at a deep psychological level. Let's begin by defining what we mean by too soft. This isn't about being empathetic, emotionally intelligent, or kind. Those are strengths. When we say too soft, we're talking about men who become overly compliant, who suppress their opinions to avoid disagreement, who tiptoe around their partner's emotions, and who slowly morph into someone they think she wants instead of staying rooted in who they are. It's the man who becomes overly agreeable, emotionally dependent, and afraid to lead or assert. And ironically, it's this very behavior, often adopted to keep the woman close, that pushes her away. Because attraction, especially feminine attraction, isn't just about kindness. It's about polarity, energy, and the tension between strength and softness. In the beginning, she was drawn to his certainty, his groundedness, his sense of purpose, that quiet edge of independence and direction. He didn't need her to complete him, but he welcomed her presence. He didn't always agree with her, but he listened. He made decisions, held boundaries, and led without needing permission. And in that energy, she felt something deeper than comfort. She felt safe, not because he coddled her, but because he made her feel that things wouldn't fall apart if she collapsed emotionally. He could hold space, not only for her emotions, but also for the unpredictable chaos that life brings. That is the heart of masculine containment. But when that man starts collapsing into indecision, into emotional dependence, into neediness masked as love, that safety disappears. And when safety disappears, attraction silently walks out the door. One of the biggest misunderstandings in modern relationships is the idea that men should be more emotional, more sensitive, more available. And while these traits can be powerful when integrated properly, they become dangerous when performed out of insecurity. A man who's emotionally vulnerable from strength builds trust. But a man who becomes emotionally needy because he fears abandonment slowly turns into a mirror of the very insecurity she's trying to escape from. Feminine energy, by its nature, wants to flow. It wants to express, to feel, to test. And when it meets a man who can't hold the storm, who tries to stop it or appease it, the feminine no longer feels magnetized. It feels restless, bored, even repulsed. Because on a subconscious level, she's asking, "Can you hold me through all of this?" And if the answer is no, desire withers. Let's go even deeper into the psychology. Attraction, especially in long-term dynamics, is not maintained through constant peace. It thrives on tension, not unhealthy drama, but polarity. Feminine energy tests to feel the edge of the masculine. It wants to know that you won't collapse if she pulls away, that you won't chase if she gets emotional, and that you won't over-explain when she disagrees. When a man becomes too soft, he starts trying to manage her emotional world instead of being a grounded anchor. He becomes afraid of upsetting her. He walks on eggshells. He compromises too much, too fast. And worst of all, he starts needing her approval more than his own integrity. At that point, he's not leading with strength. He's negotiating his masculinity for affection. And women can feel that. It's invisible, but it's real. What most men don't realize is that women test men not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. It's a subconscious way to feel, is this man safe? Can he lead? Can he hold me emotionally without falling apart? These aren't conscious thoughts. These are biological impulses wired into our nervous systems. So when a man becomes too soft, when he avoids confrontation or fears disapproval, it doesn't make her feel more loved. It makes her feel more alone. Because now, she's the emotional leader. She's the one holding both people's emotions. And she might not be able to articulate it, but something will feel off. She'll start pulling away, getting cold, criticizing more. And the man, trying to fix it, will become even softer, thinking that's the path to closeness. But it's not. It's a cycle that ends in emotional disconnection or even resentment. There's a myth out there that says love is enough to sustain attraction. It's not. You can love someone and still not feel sexually or emotionally drawn to them anymore. Women need to feel a man's edge, not an aggressive, domineering force, but a presence that says, I know who I am, and I won't bend just to be liked. That edge creates safety. That self-respect inspires respect. And that groundedness fuels desire. A man who's too soft often loses that edge. He becomes overly emotional without direction, vulnerable without strength, kind without boundaries. And over time, she stops looking at him with longing. She starts looking at him like a friend, or worse, like a boy who needs her approval. And nothing kills desire faster than emotional role reversal. Now, let's be clear. Being masculine doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel deeply, but you don't become consumed by emotion. It means you can cry, but you don't fall apart. You express without begging for reassurance. You lead even when it's hard. You hold the line even when she protests. You are the emotional lighthouse, not a wave crashing with the tide. Women don't want emotional robots. They want men who feel, but who remain solid in their truth. That's the kind of man who commands long-term desire. That's the kind of man who doesn't lose attraction over time, because he doesn't lose himself. So what can you do if you've already become too soft in her eyes? The first step is to stop chasing her emotions and start rebuilding your center. Detach from needing constant approval. Get back in touch with your purpose. Reignite your masculine independence. Let her emotional world be hers. You don't have to fix it, solve it, or absorb it. Just witness it. Hold space. And stand firm in who you are. Reclaiming attraction is not about becoming colder. It's about becoming more grounded, more sovereign, less reactive. When she feels that shift, she may test harder at first. Don't fall for it. Stay rooted. She's watching to see if the man she fell for still exists under all the emotional placating. In the end, the truth is this. Women lose attraction when a man becomes too soft, not because softness is bad, but because it becomes unbalanced. Feminine energy needs a container. It needs to feel your edge, your purpose, your unshakable presence. When you trade that away to avoid discomfort or to make her like you, you lose what made her love you in the first place. So be kind, but don't abandon your truth. Be available, but not dependent. Be emotionally present, but not emotionally collapsed. That is the dance. That is the balance. And when you live from that place, she won't just stay attracted, she'll feel something deeper, admiration, respect, and longing. And those are the roots of lasting intimacy.